Hello everybody, welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Donald as usual, and returning once again is AgileTablet. So how is everybody doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing well. Yep, can't complain. Yesterday I went and saw the movie Gemini Man starring Will Smith, and Will Smith, because he plays himself in the movie, and he plays a super soldier in the movie, and then he plays a younger version of his own self as a super soldier. And,
is it like CGI?
Yeah, they de-age him. They digitally de-age him, and it's very strange. And it's like the focus of the movie. But to me, I don't know. I didn't think that was like that big of a deal, kind of thing. I guess that is like a huge deal for like a movie to center itself around one technology, basically. But to me, it was just like, okay, so the movie itself has to be good still. Like it can't like just have that happening. And it was actually very bad, but it was fun to watch because it was bad.
It was that type of bad?
Yeah, it was. It reminded me a lot of something like Cradle to the Grave. Do you remember that movie? Or like Jet Li's The One or something, you know, those kind of movies where it's like just like schlocky action stuff. But the funny thing is that like in all the different scenes, they just constantly had like Will Smith like over emoting about stuff and really getting into it, you know, like really acting. But then they didn't really seem to know how to do the rest of the movie. So a lot of it was just like jokey back and forth kind of things, like just making jokes about, I don't know, just little things about like, oh man, I'm tired, I should take a nap, kind of thing. You know, just like really like silly, like, and then the next scene would be like him shooting someone in the head and being like, I never wanted to do that or something like that. And then, you know, I don't know, just it's really like uneven. And his female companion that runs around with him kind of in the movie is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like from
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and so she's just like a random woman in this, kind of like, you know, just a random. She's like a secret agent person, whatever. But she just plays like a random sort of woman who just seems pretty chill the whole time. So it's kind of like you're like, isn't she supposed to be? I don't know. Like it's not. You know, like in these movies, they're usually supposed to be like femme fatales who like have a bunch of dark secrets or something like that. She just seems like a random person, just kind of like hanging out with Will Smith. And then it's anyway, so I realized that the whole movie is basically like a Chinese money thing kind of thing. Like it's like it's got like I think like Tencent is behind it and all those Chinese like companies. And
does Will Smith go beat up a bunch of protesters?
yeah. No, there's like a guy that's like his best buddy in it, and he's just like he's like a famous like Chinese actor kind of thing. Like it's just like anyway. So, but it's so funny to me that like it got released as like a big movie that, you know, it's going to just lose huge amounts of money. That's the other thing too. So it really did badly so far, I think.
So I've seen ads for it. I thought that was like a new actor that they were showcasing, but that's like him on the. I don't know if you've seen billboards and stuff, but I thought that was like somebody else.
No, that's him.
Doesn't really look like him when he used to look, you know, like 10.
I know.
Does it look like a combination of him and his son?
I'm not sure if it as much his son, but yeah, a little bit. He does look a little bit strange because he's like a bit too smooth and stuff. And just,
well, the reason I was asking was because I haven't seen any ads or anything for this, but I did see something, I don't know, like a still or something like that looked like a looked like that. It looked like a de-aged Will Smith combined with Jaden.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what that looked like on the ad that I've seen. So I think,
okay, so maybe that is.
It's supposed to be his genetically identical clone. So he's a clone in the movie and super soldier clone. And I'm not even like, okay, I should give, you know, some of this might be spoilers kind of thing, but so at the end of the movie, okay, you find out there's a third clone, and who seems to be even a bit younger or something, I guess, and
even smoother.
Yeah, and he is smoother. That is, it's like. And then he like that the third clone dies. Okay, so the young clone who they call Junior or whatever, right? Junior, the last few scenes in the movie are just, it's like, again, it's one of those things where the young clone had just, I think, like before that said, basically opened up a minigun into this restaurant or something they were in, kind of like, it had like this pretty cool scene of like just these bullets whizzing by them and stuff, and this final fight and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, a few like almost like 2 scenes later, it's like pretty much done, and Junior is on a college campus, like right, and he's got like his backpack. And he's like walking through and like, I can be a normal kid now kind of thing, right? Like, like I can do my thing. And he's just, they're walking on the thing. And like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's there. But in the movie, I guess because they figured it would be too weird if one of them was romantically involved with the other. So in the whole movie, there's like sort of like a little bit of flirting that goes on, but there's no relationship in the movie. That's the other thing too. Like, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead is just kind of there, kind of like hanging out with them kind of thing. It's like, hey guys. He's like, what are you going to take? And he's like, I'm going to take engineering. Like, they're just like joking back and forth with stuff. It doesn't make any sense because it's just like, this guy's like a trained super soldier killer that kills on people. And they're just like hanging out now on a college campus being like, so I hope, you just kind of keep doing your thing, have a normal life like I couldn't or something. And they're like, okay, well.
That's what happens when someone returns from war. They get right back into the swing of things and become a productive member of society.
So anyway, the reason why they're meeting in that scene is because Will Smith has shown up with a passport and birth certificate and documents to like give this guy to like make him be on the grid so that he can like live a normal life. But he's already like enrolled in college somehow. I don't know. Like, what does that make? That doesn't make any sense. He's just kind of like hanging out on campus. And when he like walks, like on, like when they establish the scene, whatever, he's already like hanging out with friends and stuff. So he's just like, I don't know my name yet, but once I figure out the document,
maybe that's the rich Chinese college experience in North America.
Yeah,
they're all super soldiers. Got sent here. They don't know their names yet, but
but the visas are all in order, so it's okay.
Right. And the thing that's funny about the tones stuff is that it happens even like within scenes, like where it goes like it just doesn't make any sense at all. Or anyways, so there's a lot of very, very strange things in the movie, just where they make jokes that don't really make sense, or they just do one-off kind of stuff that just anyway. So I was really happy to see it. I was like grinning the whole time and laughing because it just didn't make. I don't know. It was really funny. I don't know.
Do you guys think that they're ever going to be able to like bridge the uncanny valley in terms of trying to realistically animate human faces? Is that something that we're on our way to? Because they definitely don't seem to have accomplished it. If the picture that I saw is anything to go by.
Over the years, I keep having the experience of like seeing some new amazing game or movie that has like these great graphics or whatever, and I'm like, they did it. That looks so real. I can't tell the difference. And then like 2 years later, I'm like, oh, that looks like fake. I can totally tell. So I don't know. I feel like there's always going to be a little bit of a difference, and it's just like just enough that you can kind of see it.
I thought they did a really good job in it. Like I think that it was kind of cool in the movie, but like it just, they didn't really do much with it, I guess.
Because so much of the acting is, or not of the acting like in that movie specifically, but so much of acting is just facial emoting. So if you're going to put it into a movie, like why not actually showcase it instead of having it be like a forgettable, weird, dumb action movie? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, I think it's because they're 30 years apart in the movie, I think. I think that's like the gap of the age of the clone. And it kind of plays it up as if as if they're kind of realizing that this is the case. Like they kind of make it like, the first act or whatever is kind of them figuring out that it's a clone or something. But and stuff like that. But you already know because that's all the promotion was and the whole concept of the movie kind of thing. So it's also one of those things where they sort of like fight each other in like 1 or 2 scenes at first, and then pretty quickly they have to just team up. And there's also like Clive Owen is in it, which is kind of a strange thing because, I mean, he used to be like a leading man kind of thing, right? Like he would just carry a movie kind of thing, and like Children of Men or something. And in this, he looks like a little too thin or something like that kind of thing. He looks like an older man, and he's just kind of like, he looks really angry all the time and a bit weird, and he just, I don't know. So they just he just does his best with what he could do, kind of thing. And then I can't. What's I'm not sure her name. It's not Anne Hesh, but it's like another, I don't know, older short hair blonde woman. Anyways, but she's in it too, and she just, I don't know. They just have it's one of those things where they have like scenes that just kind of advance the plot of them like talking back and like of Clive Owen and this other defense intelligence agency person talking back and forth, and it's just scenes that have to be in the movie to kind of make it so that Clive Owen has a full character kind of thing. And it's just like, I don't know, I just like left during those times. I just like, I'm not, this is just what, like a waste of time just hearing, I don't know, just yeah. So I found it really funny.
I haven't seen a movie that bad in the theater in a really long time.
I gave it like 3 stars because I thought that like.
But we all know your movie going habits, Tom.
yeah. So, but yeah, it was really funny to me. They're just
I keep imagining it like, you know, those like Snapchat filters or whatever that Chinese people use that have like the pink cheeks and they're, you know, like, I keep imagining it's Will Smith like with that filter on, and that's or whatever.
Yeah, and I also, for some reason, I think it was because, so in the movie It or whatever, like it's something about like the alien clown or something like that, kind of like the clown is like evil or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So I got that mixed up with this movie for some reason before I saw it. So I thought,
how?
Okay, so I thought, in It, I thought that like one of the twists was, I haven't seen it, so this isn't, I'm not even sure if it's like a thing, but the twist was like the clown was from like outer space somehow or something. I don't know.
Oh man.
So when I saw this, I thought that like the twist at the end was going to be that like Gemini Man, they were like, it wasn't actually like a clone project, it was like
a clown project.
No, I thought the clowns, the clones were I thought it was somehow that like Will Smith was some sort of alien race that like splits or something and like creates like younger versions of themselves based on like alien kind of thing. So I thought that like the first bit of it was like them kind of being like, you know, I thought it was like I thought most of the movie was them throwing you off the scent kind of thing. And then at the end, it would be like this stuff about like going back to their home planet or something. So at the very end of the movie, when like everything's done, I'm like, whoa! I was like, what about the alien stuff? Like, where'd that go? Kind of flew out the window, and then I realized that because of a killer clown really movie.
Good.
So,
Have you seen that?
No.
Thing?
No, but so my dad went and saw the second one because they filmed parts of it in the small town near, like one of the small towns near us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they filmed a lot of the scenes, I guess, of like the small town kind of stuff. My dad went to see it because of that. But my dad doesn't like watch horror movies or like even like a lot of movies just in general. He just doesn't. It's like he wouldn't watch normally something that has like gross stuff in it or something like that kind of thing. He would just wouldn't see the point. So I was kept imagining him watching this movie about like kids fighting a killer clown or something like that or whatever. Yeah. And he's just sitting there like totally baffled by it. I think like, what's going on here? Anyways, so when he got home, he was like, oh, no, it was really cool because I kept being able to point out all the different things that were near our home, like our he's like, it's in it a lot. And I'm like, okay, well. I was like, you know, it's about like the killer clown. How was that stuff? And he's like, I don't know. He didn't care about that at all. He just thought it was cool that he could see like stuff that he knew. And I thought that was nice. So,
yeah. That kind of stuff doesn't really interest me. The clown horror.
yeah. And weird. He also thought it was. Anyways, I always find it annoying though. They take over like the small towns here a lot because Canada has like tax credits or something and it's cheaper for wages.
To film there.
Yeah, so they put American flags down all the streets. Very strange. I don't know. You're like, we're occupied again or something. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been trying to watch. It's funny. This is like a weird thing I find that I had like a few therapists before tried to get me to watch more things because they said it would like work on my attention span and like it's like a safe way to work through anxiety and stuff is just being able to focus and stuff on that kind of thing. And but it feels like strange to be like, and it really does feel like that. It feels like I'm sitting down to watch something so that I can kind of, it's like, it's entertaining, but it's also like I have to,
like homework.
Yeah, it is like homework. But it feels strange because like I always think that like if I was talking to someone that had like a really difficult job or something, and I'd be like, well, what'd you do today? I was like, oh man, I watched The Dark Knight Rises because my therapist told me to, or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. So I finally caved and bought like one of those Apple TV things, which they're very expensive because for some reason, like all the apps in Canada, most of like the streaming services are like the rights are different here, so they don't have the same people. Some of the things like HBO doesn't have its own service here. It's like goes through
really?
Crave and stuff, and it like it's very it's sort of like it's very much like trying to control the markets, which just not like directly beamed from the United States into Canada kind of thing. Like they want like a step where you kind of have Canadian channels still.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, none of the services. Number one, none of the American apps. Well, some of them do, like Netflix and things, because they have like their own analogs, like right for Canada, but like because they can afford to. But most of the channels you kind of have to get like these Canadian equivalent apps, and those don't work on almost anything except for like Apple TV and a few things kind of thing. So it was just driving me crazy. It was like making my OCD go to like a million when I couldn't, like I would click on things and it wouldn't work right and all that kind of stuff. So on my TV, because I couldn't get most of the apps, and it wouldn't, when I did get them, they wouldn't work and stuff. So I finally got this, and it works so well that I'm just like, it's funny because I haven't even watched much. I'm just really happy that the interface works well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, I can finally watch something when I want to and don't have to worry about. Anyway, so.
Are you excited about watching anything in particular, or are you still letting the functionality sink in?
I want to kind of watch through some of the old HBO shows that I never did, like Deadwood and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I've just got a bunch of movies about like, I don't know, like I started watching again Richard Pryor documentary.
Cool.
Called Omit the Logic, which is really, I find it really good. One of the things I don't like about, it's not that I don't like it. I know that it has to happen, but it's kind of frustrating in some ways, is that all stand-up comedy documentaries that get made now, I call them like sad clown documentaries, because it has to go the same way for everyone, which is like he was on the top of the world but he died kind of thing, or something like that kind of, or like he got sick or something, like there was a one that was like just a lovely kind of movie. It was a cute kind of movie about Gilda Radner, and I really enjoyed that because she's just special. And then it was 100% like, this is when you smile, this is when you cry, or something like that. It was like, it was very much paint by numbers that way. And I think this was one of the first ones that did this Omit the Logic one. And then there was a Chris Farley one, which was actually really good, about just like Chris Farley's life and stuff and getting cut short and things. So I don't know, but the Richard Pryor one's interesting too, because it talks about stuff that I didn't really know about. Like for like a long time, he got like fired from Vegas because he just went like flipped out kind of thing, because he just hated being stuck in this kind of life, I guess, kind of thing of just doing stand up every night and feeling like he wasn't really telling the truth. Anyway, so he like dropped out of it for a while and then came back completely different. And his records, like the record that he came out first from him was on the R&B charts, #1 for 4 weeks or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, like a comedy album. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. And it has Paul Mooney and stuff like that. So
cool.
Nice. I love Paul Mooney.
Yeah, he rocks.
He's so good. He faved one of my tweets once.
Whoa!
Cool.
I
was really happy about
that. That's awesome. I didn't even realize he was on Twitter.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because he's pretty wacky on Twitter, but yeah.
I can imagine. That's gonna be
definitely has
fun.
like old man tweeting style though.
That's okay. That's real good sometimes,
Yeah. He defends like Bill Cosby and stuff, and like
okay.
And he also there was like allegations against him and stuff, and then I don't know that all. Yeah. So it but yeah, no, he's I don't know, it's not, but it was still a great moment for me to, I don't know, see that. But anyways,
there's a Patrice O'Neill documentary in the works. It's been in the works for a while, but it was basically like a fan project, it seemed like, and now it's getting picked up by Bill Burr's little
production company.
Yeah, his production company, All Things Comedy or whatever it's called, and they're teaming up with Comedy Central now, so it's actually getting like real support. So
that's good.
Wow.
Yeah,
is that at all connected with Tough Crowd coming back?
I don't know if it's directly connected, but I would be surprised if there wasn't some kind of coordination there. Yeah.
I didn't know Tough Crowd's coming back. How are they? Where's it coming from? Like, where's
I don't know if it was coming back. It might be just like remastering it because all the stuff that you could find online is like such bad quality.
Okay.
Like DVD rips of VHSs and stuff like that. I don't know, Tom. Do you know any more about it?
All I know is that there was a guy on a YouTube channel remastering it. I didn't know that they were trying to reboot it or anything.
Oh, I might be wrong then. I thought I read something or like saw something about it, like just briefly.
I have heard stuff like that though, so maybe they're sort of like talking about
testing the waters or something.
Yeah, because it seems to like have some sort of like people are into it after the fact kind of a thing. Like people.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of longevity.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. Like it was basically a podcast before there was such a
Yeah.
I was not a fan of it, but I know that you're a big fan, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember you and I talking about that show a lot in the past,
Yeah.
Really?
Watch a lot
like
of
when you guys were younger?
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, somewhat younger. But yeah. And do you know what that reminds me of? I have to check now because I want to see if In Living Color ever came out on either streaming or something. Because do you know about this? Or they
no.
So they put them out on DVD, but the problem was the company or whatever that was involved in the thing didn't buy any of the songs. No music. So like it's like a variety show. So it's got like dancing and there's like sketches that include music and all that kind of stuff, and all of that was just cut out. So it just like jumps around, and it's just like sketches, and I don't know. The completist in me or something like that was like, I don't really want to dive back into it without, kind of.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I thought that would be a good one to rewatch of it. It's like any sketch show is going to be mostly not great, but the stuff that was great on that was really great. So
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, what was the other thing? So there was, anyways, okay, I can't remember. I was gonna go on something about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I remember. No, just about what you were. Oh, it was Bernie Mac has a documentary out too, which is just by like his. I think his daughter did it or something like that.
Oh.
And it's just like a nice little documentary because it's just so nice to see him talking about, just joking around and stuff and some of the different famous things that happened and all that. And that's kind of a neat thing to watch. And then the other thing that is kind of neat about it too is just they kind of have like people she couldn't really get, I don't think, like a lot of interviews with a lot of like she had like interviews with people that were just like SNL people to kind of make it like, to help promote it and stuff, right? So it was kind of like some SNL people just being like, "Oh man, he was good."
Yeah.
And, and they're kind of like, okay, like they don't really have stories because it's just more kind of like looking back and saying that he was neat kind of thing. Like it's not like because they wanted like it to be like a crossover movie too, where like it wasn't just like a black comedy movie kind of thing. Like they wanted like I think like Melissa McCarthy's in it and stuff or whatever. I think and like stuff like that. So it's got like
she plays Bernie Mac.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting too is that he tried out for like a lot of movies for a long time. I think I've told you this before, maybe, but like he tried out for a lot of movies and they kept saying like producers would always say your speaking style doesn't lend itself to this kind of material because you're too quick and you improvise too much. You just kind of and it comes across to audiences as if you're mumbling. It doesn't sound like you're speaking clearly and it's kind of like a bit goofy and it's not it'll kind of like take people out of the scene. It kind of has stuff like that in it. And then when he was in I think it was Ocean's 11 was the one that he was in, like the first one, and then I think Soderbergh directed that or something like that. Anyway, someone did like that.
Yeah,
Someone,
that sounds right.
And he was kind of like prepared to be like, okay, I kind of have to straighten up for this and you know make it like very clear and all that kind of stuff, whatever. And he was like, no. we hired you because you're Bernie Mac. You got to be Bernie Mac in this. You got to do your thing, and it'll be good. And
that's cool.
And I thought that was nice, and it was also kind of funny because it's kind of one of those things where it's like no one cares until they do, kind of thing. In that kind of way. It's like they were like they had good excuses, and then as soon as it kind of resonated with people, they're like, okay, well, do your thing. So it is kind of sad that he died then so young because
young, really crazy.
And because I think it would be neat to see him and stuff still, but
it's funny to imagine Soderbergh and Bernie Mac like together. I don't know, that's a fun
that was a lot of the thing, I guess, because they were kind of going off what people might know him from in the mass audience and stuff. So a lot of the movie is about that kind of stuff. It's about like sort of later on in that movie. I guess that was his like biggest credit or something. So they kind of talk about that a fair bit. I can't remember if Matt Damon's in it or something, or one of those guys.
Brad Pitt's in it, right?
Pitt. Oh, maybe it's Brad Pitt. Yeah, but Brad Pitt's in Ocean's 11. Yeah, George Clooney is not in. I don't think, but I mean, he's in the movie, but he's not.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so that was fun though. Anyways, that's one of my things. I do want to go through a bunch of that stuff. There's actually a really interesting series of things on stand-up comedians that it's from like the 60s, and it's on like iTunes. They have all these albums of this guy. I can't remember. I think I might have talked to you about this before, Tom, but like it's this guy that did interviews with like top comedians like Johnny Carson and Woody Allen and all that, and just about like how they see comedy, and like get really into like the writing process and stuff. And it's really funny because none of them have like, they have interesting kind of answers, but they just get really annoyed at the guy the whole time, basically. So it's like,
really,
it's just like Johnny Carson being like, well, I don't know, don't ask me, or something kind of thing. Like just kind of stuff like that, like really trying to like, it's like they're trying to help him out, I guess, because he was like, they're trying to be nice kind of thing, but they don't really know.
Is he like really trying to dig into like the auteur type stuff? Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's very clearly like a nerd about the kind of stuff. Like I can't remember the guy's name, but something. He's like really into it, like as like a craft or something like that. Yeah. He's asking Woody Allen, and Woody Allen doing his thing, kind of thing. Like, he's like, I don't know, my ideas just pop up or something like that. Just like random, like they don't really know how to answer them. So, but it was really interesting, anyways, because you kind of get clips and stuff like here and there of interesting ideas and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a comedy nerd paradise.
Yeah. So, anyways, I always want to read this stuff that Norm Macdonald talks about. Like, Norm Macdonald always brings up stuff like Johnny Carson's lawyer or agent or whatever, manager, wrote that book about him, and apparently like just dished all these different secrets, and some of it might not even be like on the up and up and stuff. And I don't know, because that was what I really liked about his podcast. He would like interview all the old people like Carl Reiner and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
You know who's got a great podcast for that is Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, I know. He's interviewing like just some ancient people, some of them. But yeah. It's cool.
It's like a museum tour or something.
I can listen to it for a while, but I honestly, the voice kind of grates on me after a while. I can't.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How could that be annoying?
Yeah. I did enjoy some of it though, like some of the, when they were talking about like, I don't know, Batman or something like that, all the different TV shows from the 60s or something. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's fun to listen to those old guys.
Yeah.
I saw Gilbert on a thing. So Bert Kreischer has this like cooking show on YouTube where he has like a couple comedians over and they try to cook something. And yeah, I'm not the biggest Bert Kreischer fan or anything, but he had Dave Attell and Gilbert Gottfried on at the same time, and they were making fish and chips, I think, something like that. And at one point, like it's funny, they're joking around, but at one point Gilbert is making the tartar sauce and he takes the knife or the spoon that had the mayo in it, and he just goes straight into the pickles, like without wiping it off. And then there's just like this smear of mayo on the pickle jar, and I couldn't focus on anything else for like 20 minutes. Just staring at the fact that he just shoved this mayo in with the pickles.
That's funny.
Disturbed me so much.
Yeah.
Even crazier is trying to get a pickle out of a jar with a spoon. Who's going to succeed in that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought of Gilbert as like a super old guy, but you can really see it there. Like he has very old man mannerisms about how he goes around the food. Yeah.
Yeah. And he seems like he's been pretty much the same guy the whole time, kind of thing, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. Like he seemed like he was kind of old like 40 years ago, but he didn't seem like he's aged since.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so there were a couple movies in the theaters that we were thinking about seeing, I guess. Parasite looked pretty good.
And what happens in Parasite? You know
I know it's Korean.
That's
something in Korea.
Yeah, that's one thing that happens. The only thing I know about it is from the trailer. So if I'm, I don't mean to spread misinformation, but it seems like it is principally like a class commentary thing, but maybe there's another narrative or maybe a few other narratives kind of tucked inside of that. But it is a kind of like like lower middle class family, like a guy from a lower middle class family. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I don't really know a lot about like class in Korea. Like they don't have like completely analogous classes to the ones in like North America. So I don't know tons about it. Like they still have like an aristocracy, you know what I mean? Like, so anyway, so I guess it's this guy who sort of like cons his way into becoming a tutor for a very wealthy family.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not really sure what happens, but there's some craziness. Like he's supposed to be a tutor to a child, and then he gets one of his friends to come on as like an art teacher. And I'm not really sure what happens, but the director is Bong Joon-ho, and he's directed, I've seen several of his Korean movies. He also directed Snowpiercer, which I didn't see, but that was a Western released movie. But yeah, I think I maybe talked about this before, but he directed Memories of Murder, which is a movie I saw pretty recently that I really, really loved. It was like from 2003 or something like that. But that was a really good movie. And then when I looked at that movie up recently, I saw that he had this one coming out, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to see that because he's got a cool touch. I think his movies are a little bit uneven, but he's got like an interesting kind of storytelling style. So I'm excited to see that one.
And you've seen a fair number of Korean movies overall, right? Like I haven't seen almost anything. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen. Yeah, I guess I've seen kind of like I haven't. I got into Korean movies in like the early 2000s, and there was a lot of really, really good movies that were making their way over here, like in that decade. And then since kind of the ascendancy of like K-pop and that kind of Korean media, I'm not really that familiar with that stuff. So like since then, so I've seen more of like I don't know what you would call it, like the stuff that you might see as like best foreign film in the Oscars or something like that kind of stuff, not like the big budget type stuff.
Sure.
Some of that, like Joint Security Area and stuff like that. But anyway, I've seen a little bit of Korean movies. I really like, there's like maybe 4-ish directors who I have really always liked their stuff, and I will probably continue to just always see it when it comes out. And he's up there. He's one of them.
Have you seen many like Japanese or Chinese movies or no?
Not as many Chinese. Japanese, definitely seen a lot of Japanese. Chinese, I think I've seen more, I don't know, like 80s, like Hong Kong action and like that kind of stuff. Like I've seen a fair bit of that. And I guess some of the bigger stuff, like what's like Wong Kar-wai and stuff like Hero or like that kind of stuff. But it's not like I would consider myself like a Chinese film buff by any means. Yeah.
Cool.
What about you? Are you a Chinese movie fan? I know I have several buddies online who are big buffs of that kind of thing.
No, I like I did watch like a fair number of Chinese movies when I was trying to learn more about China in general, but mostly kind of like some of the big directors. And it's hard in some ways because I got the Criterion channel now, I guess, and I'm gonna watch some. They've got some of them, but even then, like the rights issues are kind of a thing. Like I haven't really torrented movies in a while, so that's probably what I have to do for a lot of them.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of gaps where it's stuff that's not on Netflix or anything. Like it's just kind of floating around. Like it's not easy for me to get access to. So
yeah, I know what you mean.
So I was renting them from, even like last year, I started renting a few of them from video stores, but it just a lot of the times I just didn't end up watching them, kind of thing, or I watched parts of it and stuff. Yeah. I watched a bit of a movie called Platform. I watched like the first hour or so of that, and what I saw was really good. But
like good or good like Gemini Man was 3 stars good?
No, it was like sincerely good. Yeah, it's about like a young guy growing up, and it starts in the Cultural Revolution era, and he's kind of like a musician person and like theater kind of stuff. Like, so he's doing model plays at the start, just like propaganda, and then they travel around and do that for like the party, I guess. And then so the trajectory of the movie is that they just over time become a pop band kind of thing. And it's kind of like throughout the ages kind of thing, but only like, I mean, it's really only, I guess, about over 20 years or so, or 15 years or something. And then, but it's like it's kind of like using that as a microcosm for the changes in culture and stuff. So it's really
cool.
Yeah, so that was, and it seemed kind of very like natural kind of style, and like just I don't know, it's pretty cool. And so there's a lot of movies that I want to see, but I don't know. And as I said, like it's kind of like I have to psych myself up for it, so it's a lot easier if I'm not feeling great to just kind of watch I don't know, like Venom or something. So like
yeah, I know what you mean. There's a lot of movies that I want to watch that for me, it feels like mood is a really big part of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, I'm not in that kind of mood. I couldn't watch that today.
Yeah.
Which honestly is that kind of has, like, that bears out most of the time. Like if I try to force something and watch it when I'm not in the mood to watch it, I have trouble paying attention, and I end up kind of like regretting it because I'm like, I think I would have enjoyed that if I watched it at a different time.
Yeah.
But now I just thought it was crap.
Sure.
Because I just wasn't in the mood for it. So
yeah,
it takes a long time to get through a list because like it would be different if I had like a big library and all of them were available at the same time. So then, whatever mood I was in, I could just choose something. But because I only have access to a few at a time, I'll be like, I'm not really in an 80s action mood right now.
Yeah.
Like, or like my anxiety is high. I can't watch a scary movie. So then it kind of like narrows it down. Yeah. Kind of a bummer because I have so many that I want to get through.
Yeah, I have a ton of, it's kind of funny, I have a ton of like comedy kind of stuff that I want to watch so it's not even like, it can be lighthearted stuff. It's more like emotional investment or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what you mean. I could watch comedy almost at any time, I think, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can watch, there's certain things I can watch, just like podcasts I don't have a problem with. I just listen to them whenever. Or like, if it's kind of like a podcast like YouTube thing or something, if it's like the Red Letter Media stuff, I can watch that without, there's no anxiety or something really, but yeah. So
I end up watching a lot of that stuff lately. I've been watching a lot of Mark Normand and Joe List podcasts, just putting that on like it's a show.
They're so funny.
Or King and the Sting, the Theo Von thing.
Oh yeah.
Brennan Schaub, and even like that Bert Kreischer thing I mentioned. I would never listen to that, or even like it's not something I even like would be that interested in watching, like going out of my way. But if it's just like they're recommended and I don't feel like doing anything else, I just want to like click something else to watch, I'll watch it until I get bored.
Yeah.
Watch something else. I think that's a big thing, is that I'll just, you can kind of jump away from it whenever you feel like it. And it's like,
sure,
it's fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you think we should get into some questions? We've actually been going a while.
Sure.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So I think Tabs had a few more food-related questions that we didn't get to last time.
Yeah. I did get a few of those when I was fishing. Okay. All right. So let's see. I don't know. I can't vouch for the quality of these questions. So we'll see. So this is from Ella Mayo. I want to know. Yeah. I want to know if mayonnaise in guacamole is okay.
What the fuck? That's okay. I have to try it, but that sounds horrible.
I think this is probably like just a bit, but to actually answer it, obviously that sounds kind of gross, but my main reason for saying that is because avocados are already fatty and rich, so I don't know why you would need to add something that's fatty and rich to guacamole. But I will say that mayo does have quite a few uses that you might not expect.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not I don't really like a lot of mayo on a sandwich is very, very gross to me. I'm not a big like mayonnaise person, but a lot of the food and cooking people on here probably already know this, but I'll mention it in case it's not already a widely known thing. Any kind of sandwich that you make that is fried, like a grilled cheese, where you butter your bread and fry it on both sides, using mayo instead of oil or butter is a really wonderful treat. Cool. It sounds weird, and I know it sounds off-putting to some people, but it's really delicious because you get there's quite a bit of oil in it, so that acts as your fat, so it will crisp up and brown the bread just as like butter would. But you also get a little bit of the tanginess because there's like vinegar and mustard, or not mustard, and just vinegar, I guess. Maybe a little mustard if you're...
Depends, yeah.
Yeah, if it's that like real like French kind, then you might have a little bit of Dijon in there. But it's a little tangy too, so it's really tasty. And I definitely recommend doing that for any kind of fried sandwich. That's really good.
And it's kind of neat, like neat in the sense of like not messy. You know what I mean? Like, because you put it on the bread and then put that on the pan. You don't have to like have the oil in the pan itself, so it doesn't like spatter as much and stuff. It's good.
Yeah, it is tasty.
I haven't had much mayonnaise ever.
Oh yeah.
All. And that another thing, like, it's because it's the same reason why I can't have like many like sausages or something like that, is because I look at it and then I associate it with a very, very rich taste, and I honestly feel like when I start to like see it or even just whatever, I start to feel like sick or something, because I feel like it's one of those things where I'm pushing my luck with it or something like that. I'm like, I can't. It's like I'm like, man, if I eat that, like, it's like suicidal or something kind of thing.
Oh my
it's like,
God.
No. Like, it's like yeah. It's like if I eat this, then it's like no. You're just asking for it at that point. Like you're just it's like come on, buddy. If you're gonna have that, like, you're already pushing it.
Don't you eat equally rich things like pizza or stuff like that?
Oh, I certainly do, but I just there's something. It's like that was my survival mechanism or something like that. Is that like it was always like, okay, I'm not great at this.
Not rational.
But, I can't go this extra mile here. It's also why I also, like, sugars and stuff make me like sick now. I find like a lot of like sugars. I either get like a headache or it just doesn't make me feel great. So I also, there's a lot of things that I look at and I get queasy. I'm like, oh man, I can't eat that. So, and I wouldn't mind if that was like with a lot wider range of things kind of thing, where like I didn't want to, because I feel like there's a lot of, I never understood that when people were like, oh man, I'll like eat like a bunch of McDonald's and feel bad kind of thing or something like that. Now I kind of finally got it kind of thing, but I kind of, I don't know. I always feel like I'm sort of pushing my luck in general and that I have to kind of get things together over time, but it's hard to do. So
yeah. I mean, I guess I have kind of similar things because a lot of fat on a piece of meat seems absolutely disgusting to me, and like I don't understand how someone could enjoy eating that. Like even though I know some parts of it, I'm like, okay, I could see like the melting in your mouth, that might be pleasant or something like that. But then I also don't do this anymore for my health, but I could totally just eat like half a pound of cheese. Like I could just sit there and eat it.
I can still do that. Yeah. No, I do.
And so like I realize that if you're just going by the components, like molecules in it, then it doesn't make any sense. But there are associations that you have with certain foods, and like some are grosser than others.
Sure. I used to buy this like old cheddar, but like super old cheddar or something like that kind of thing, and just eat like chunks of that, and it always made me super sick, and I just love the taste so much that I was like, oh,
I know.
Yeah.
I've told this story to Tom before, but some of my tastes from when I was a kid have never changed, and loving cheese and like pungent pickled things like olives and stuff like that. I've always loved all that kind of stuff ever since I was a young kid. And one time my dad got home from grocery shopping, and I think I was about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years old or something. And he got home and he put all of his groceries down on the counter, and then he was like, he had to go somewhere else and like in the house and do something for like 20-30 minutes or something like that. So he was like, yeah, can you just put this stuff away and you can just have whatever of it that you want. Like, and I saw that he gotten a block of feta, and I was like, ooh, you got feta? He's like, yeah, you could just have as much as you want and then just put the rest away. So I ate the whole thing. And I wasn't like, I honestly didn't. He came back upstairs and was like, where's the feta? And I was like, you said have as much as you want. And he was like, what have you done? He starts yelling at me. But I really, I wasn't being like, well, I shall use his language against him or something. I really honestly thought that it was okay for me to do that because that's how much I wanted. And he said, have as much as you want. Sure. And I just ate the entire thing. Yeah. I like I said, I still could do that. I don't let myself do that anymore. But man, especially like when you're talking about the aged cheddar. Whew, oh, I could go to town on that. So good.
I used to live by sort of like it wasn't organic, but it was kind of like upscale mini sort of grocery store, like just like when I lived in Kingston a few years ago, and I used to live right beside it, like and then there was no grocery store other than that for like quite a distance kind of thing.
That stinks. Yeah.
And it was, so everything in it was kind of a bit like different or something. Like it did have some kind of standard stuff, but it was almost like a really fancy convenience store. Like that's what it felt like kind of thing.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
So I would get like, for like meals, I would go there and get like aged cheeses and then like a big stick of pepperoni and stuff. And pepperoni would make me sick every time too. And so the thing is though, is that now, like if I'm like, say, like a few months ago, I went to Montreal on, or like I guess a while now maybe, but like Montreal just for like a mini vacation, and I was like wandering the store looking for like some food and stuff. And the first thing I was like, oh, okay, I'll just get, I was like, I'll just get like a stack of old cheeses and some pepperoni. Like that was like my instinct was like to go for that kind of thing. Even though I knew it would make me sick, I was like, oh, you know what, I'm just wandering around, I'll just get that and I'll be good for the night or something.
Oh man. Yeah. I can't do that richness anymore.
Yeah.
I still want to, but like you said, it just makes me feel like crap, so
yeah,
can't do it.
There's that new food science thing about like gut flora, I don't know if you've heard a lot about that, but supposedly whatever it gets used to consuming, like basically whatever you're used to eating is what your gut flora kind of adjusts to, and then that's what they sort of like crave in different ways. So like that's sort of what you get. Whatever you eat, you end up wanting more of that. Like
really? Yeah.
You kind of adjust to it. So And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know how reliable all that kind of
that just kind of sounds intuitive anyway. It's just like, did you know that when you get in habits, you stay in them?
Right.
Thank you for that information.
Well,
I was just going to say, I found that to kind of bear out. Like if I change something in my diet, and honestly, that's been fairly easy for me. Whenever I want to do that, I can kind of just decide, I'm not eating that anymore, or I'm going to like do this or whatever.
Yeah.
It does really change. Like I sort of like lose a sense of like certain things even being like just an option. Like I just kind of don't even look at it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what's something I've always tried to fight in myself is like, I don't like being squeamish about food. I have some element of squeamishness that I think kind of normal to have some of that. But I don't want to be picky, and I want to try to be like, okay, well, there's a reason that people eat this, right? So, if I really don't like it, then, them's the breaks, and I just don't like it. But I do like to try things and try to change my frame of reference for things. And one of those is texture. Like if I'm eating, like you mentioned earlier, sausage, if I'm eating a sausage and I bite down on a piece of gristle, it's like hard for me to like finish eating. Like I can't, I'm just like, it's just like over at that point.
Yeah.
But there are certain other things where the last episode I mentioned that I had tried cow tendon, and one of the things that I was thinking when I was eating it was like, so it's in a soup usually, because you have to like cook it for a really long time for it to be, chewable, basically, for it to get soft enough. And I was trying it and I was like, it's mentally, I'm like kind of grossed out because I know that it's a tendon, but it has kind of the texture of like a rice cake. So why am I even grossed out like by the texture? I've eaten things with this texture before and they're totally inoffensive. So I always try to like draw comparisons like that. Like if this were a vegetable, would I be squicked out by the texture? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I go, oh yeah, I can think about this in a new way. And then other times I go like, nope, sorry, it's done. And that's the end of it. But I think it's good to try.
That all reminds me, both of what you said. It was it reminds me that when I lived in China, I became like a vegetarian while I was there. And part of it was like I started to get like grossed out by meat in general. I was just kind of like, and then I think part of it was also kind of like some moral thing that I couldn't really explain or something like that. But I was still a vegetarian for 4 years after that kind of thing. But so on one of the last days that we were there, we went to this big banquet for us at like a fancier place, and they had all different really traditional kind of stuff. Cool. And then someone told the staff whatever that I guess a few of us were like, I was a vegetarian, and so they kind of realized that they needed something special for me. So what they did is they kept coming out with meals that were like they kept, I guess the chef got really, really excited and started like bringing out things that were like almost like other stuff kind of thing. But it was all stuff that I would never normally eat anyways kind of thing. So it was like, this tastes like octopus even though it's not octopus or something like that. It's like, oh man. So anyway, so that was kind of I also remember I went to like some meal with like some business kind of people, or like professional kind of older people, and I told them that I didn't eat meat, and they didn't understand what was going on at all. Like they had no reference point for it. They were like, what don't you eat? Like, what do you mean? That doesn't make sense or something like that. And at the time when I was like saying it, I was kind of like, I was kind of like being like, you never heard this, or, being a bit silly about it. But deep down, I was like, yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know.
Wait, was that in China?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like all different kind of like older professionals that were like, yeah. I mean, that I can make rules sometimes for myself that seem to stick. I mean, I do that in general. Like I have a lot of like strange ideas that I kind of commit to for long periods of time, but I haven't been able yet to do that with many food things recently. That's the only problem. So yeah. Yeah.
For me, the texture thing, anything that's like natural is sort of a blurry kind of bullshit category or whatever, but if it's sort of like if I can identify that it's some sort of plant, meat, something like that, I may not like it, but it's not really going to gross me out. But stuff that really skeeves me out is like artificial stuff, like candy. Generally, I'm not into.
Really? You're the only person I've ever. You are a psycho about candy. I remember. Okay, you remember when Nick visited from Australia, and I forgot that you like chocolates, but that's it. No other like fruit form of candy, and I brought home some treats that she brought from Australia, and one of them was it was like the shape of a Twizzler, but it smelled like flowers. It was like pink, and it smelled like rose or musk. I think they're called musk sticks. Very appealing name. I just remember you looked at me when I offered it to you the way that a dog would look at you if you were like brandishing a weapon at it, like the like wide eyes out of the corner of the eye and like scooting away, kind of like you were so upset by the musk stick. And then I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't like any. I just remember like the first time I brought home candy for you to be like nice. I was like, hey, look what I brought. Here's like a nice little treat, and you were like, no, fuck no, I'm not touching it. Like I was like, what the hell? It was very, very strange.
You don't know what you're getting. It could be. I don't know. And the colors are always bizarre. It's just, I don't know. There's like you said, chocolates. Okay, things that I had when I was younger that
You never had candy when you were a kid?
No, what I'm saying is like candy that I had when I was younger. If I liked it then, I'd probably still like it now. Like Starburst or something,
Oh, you would eat a Starburst? I would have put that in the category of never offered to Tom.
Well, it's not something I really. I would, I might turn it down. I'm not a big fan, really. Like I could take it or leave it, but it's not something that grosses me out because I think I got used to it when I was younger or whatever.
Still strange. I've never seen that level of revulsion at candy.
Well, I haven't tried to fight it. I figure it's a good thing. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, why invite that into your life if you don't have to have it there?
Yeah. Chocolate's good. Ice cream's good. That seems plenty.
Donald, have you by any chance heard of or seen the movie called God of Cookery?
No, I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's this it's a Stephen Chow movie from I think like the early 90s. We were talking about Chinese movies earlier.
Yeah.
I like Stephen Chow. He's very funny and charming, and so God of Cookery. Another reason I thought of it was because you were talking about like the like fancy vegetarian food, like the imitation octopus or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a scene where at the beginning where this chef is like, presumably like one of the best chefs in the world at the top of his game, and he's making some sort of traditional Chinese Buddhist dish, so it has to be vegetarian, and it's just like all these like elaborately carved vegetables, like a radish that looks like a bodhisattva and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, it just reminded me of that. But that's a really cute movie if you're, I don't know, it's like he plays like this one of the best chefs in the world whose business partners like are conspiring for his downfall, and he ends up like in a gutter next to like a noodle shop, and then he teams up with the shop owner and a few other people, and it like works his way back up from the very bottom back to the top of Chinese cookery and stuff. But it's I don't know, it's just really cute and funny, and there's a lot of crazy foods in it. Like the main food is, I can't remember what they call it. It's like screaming shrimp bouncing beef balls or something like that.
Oh yeah.
That's the food that like rockets them back into the stratosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up and I haven't seen it, but yeah, I don't know. I think I saw another one of his though. Oh yeah, I guess Kung Fu Hustle. I guess.
Yeah, he did that one, and Shaolin Soccer.
Shaolin Soccer, yeah. There was another one I saw. I can't remember now, but I just looked up some of them, and I've seen some of them, but I haven't seen that yet.
That one didn't get a Western release. I've only seen fan subs of it, which are actually I really like. It depends. Like sometimes, obviously, you're taking your chances with fan subs, but sometimes they're a little bit endearing because they might not be as adept at English, but they're better at getting kind of like the sense of what the Chinese is going for. So like I kind of like that sometimes, and I saw a fan sub of that one and it was really cute, so I have a soft spot for it.
I saw that he did a Journey to the West movie too.
Yeah, which I have not seen.
So I went to the when I was in China, when I went out west, one of the places I went was like a theme park for something like that kind of thing. It was like it had like
for Journey to the West for the story
for like the story, and like it had like about the Monkey King and all that kind of stuff and whatever. And that was where before that, when I was in China, my name that I had to use was so it was Dongwu Shi, and so Dongwu Shi, which was a kind. I think someone gave me that name as like just a kind of thing that did, and another Chinese person said to me that can't be your name. Like you don't make Wu Shi your name because it sounds like Monkey King or something like that. Like it sounds like it's from that book or something like that, I guess, because so I thought that was funny that and it was funny also because they kept that characters for that are like, it's, I don't know, I can't write Chinese at all. Like I don't understand it kind of thing. I've tried a lot of times, but you gotta like do it like through rote learning a lot of it and stuff. So it's hard to do it. So I was supposed to write my name down every time I came into the compound, like the student compound. And for the security, because there's like a security guard there. And anyways, I kept writing down like my name in English kind of thing. And they were like, no, it's Chinese. You need to like write in Chinese. And I was like, I have no idea. So for a while, I just like pretended to do it kind of thing. And that kind of satisfied the guy at the front kind of thing, because it was like not his problem anymore kind of thing. Right? It was like, so I just kind of would write down like kind of like scribbles. And then eventually I just was like, no, I'm not keeping up the charade. I'm just not going to write it anymore. Just walking in. And the guy was kind of like still shrugged at that kind of thing. He was kind of like, yeah, I guess that's what's happening now kind of thing. He was like, he was like, I don't know. That's one thing I find with China, or like a lot of places where like, we talked about this before, but like where wages are low in general for most people, where there's a lot of jobs that just exist still that are sort of like a person minding a small thing kind of thing, or something like that kind of thing, like where it's like a security guards and stuff that just seem to have like a very, very formal small thing, like checking papers at one location or something. You know what I mean? Like it's very strange compared to here, where like a lot of people seem to have like pretty, like if you're like a clerk at like a hospital here, it seems like you have to do a lot more than, you got to like, I don't know. There's just, people have like, it seems more complete jobs so that they can get higher salary. And in China, there's a lot of people that just seem to have like very, like a handful of tasks they do kind of thing. I don't know. It's very strange. Anyways, that just reminded me of that, because I think that guy just sat there all day doing that kind of thing. It's not like just making sure that someone wrote their name. I don't think he had like a security role other than that, really. Just
wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so
all right, let's see. Okay, this is from @Salty the Train. Have you recognized the wisdom of using welding gloves for oven mitts yet? Better insulation plus better digit articulation. That sounds awesome, because I really hate the lack of digit articulation with most oven mitts, but I don't know what welding gloves look like or if they are prohibitively expensive. So I can't answer that yet. Do you guys know what welding gloves are like?
No.
Okay.
No.
It sounds like it could be a good idea. Okay, let's see. What's the best pasta shape? From @Bob. Do you guys have a favorite one?
I like the wheels.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Or like different, like I like like if I have craft dinner, I would prefer the children's one where it's like all the different I don't know. I think that's just it's like a better pasta, but they don't really sell it as much anymore. You have to get some bootleg equivalent like the wheels or something. Yeah.
I like a ton of pasta shapes. I have some that I dislike, and I think all the others count as the best because
yeah, that's kind of where I'm landing with it too.
Really? Yeah. I don't like farfalle because those are the bow ties.
Yeah.
Because they don't cook in the middle, so the middle part remains hard, and the outer edge gets overcooked. So I don't like those, and I don't really like any of the tube pasta shapes, like rigatoni and manicotti and stuff like that. Like the short penne, really don't like penne.
I like penne.
I don't like any. Too, yeah. I don't like those short tube ones. I like bucatini. That's a really long tube, and that's fun. Although I've had trouble with flinging sauce all over the place.
Yeah, it's messy. That's what yeah. I like the way that it will kind of like have sauce through it, you know?
Yeah,
but yeah. That also becomes a problem because the sauce doesn't stay just in the pasta.
Yeah, but really all the other pasta shapes, I love them. I kind of like some of the the lesser known curly ones. I like any of the curly ones because they hold sauce in a cool way. But like whenever I see like a new shape, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't know. Those are enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my favorite noodle, I know this is sort of cheating because it's not like an Italian thing, but udon noodles is probably my favorite.
Oh, you love those, yeah.
Yeah, they're basically like just really thick spaghetti type things.
Sure.
But yeah, I just really like that bite to it.
And I don't like udon that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're too thick for me. Mm-hmm. I like the thinner ones. Like I actually really love any thin noodle, like whether it's angel hair, which I know a lot of people don't like, or like the really thin rice noodles that you get in like some East and Southeast Asian soups. I really love those. There's something about taking like a big bite of like lots of small pieces that has like a nice texture in your mouth. So I like those. But yeah, in terms of other, because you brought up udon, so now I feel like I can branch out into non-Italian.
Here we go.
No, that's okay. I just was gonna say that I like the sweet potato starch noodles, like the kind that you get in like glass noodles, I guess.
Okay.
Like in japchae and other like stir fry noodle dishes. Those are really good. I like the texture of those too.
I like Shanghai noodle, like the.
Which one are those?
So it's like a thicker noodle. It might even just be udon. I don't know. I don't think I've had udon noodles, but like it might just be something like that. And then
are they like yellow?
No, it's just like a standard sort of noodle color. I don't know, but
like a wheat noodle.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I looked it up.
It might
be
rice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think they look like wheat noodles. But yeah, sure. I see the kind of size and shape you're talking about. Yeah, it is kind of like thick spaghetti. It looks good.
Mm-hmm. And then it's got like a spicy sauce, so it's good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I used to get it a lot because they also put like chili flakes and stuff, I guess sometimes.
Yeah.
And I used to get it a lot when I lived in Toronto because I lived very close to a bunch of Chinese restaurants and stuff. So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have any feelings about this, but how do you feel about fusion? Is it bastardization and heresy or a fun way to create new flavors?
I like it, like when it's well done. Like there's a lot of bullshit bad food that gets marketed as fusion, but like, you know, like the Korean Mexican stuff, that can be okay, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any particular problem with it. I'm not a purist when it comes to cuisines. That would be, I don't know, that seems a little crazy to me. Like I feel like you have to be like really invested in something to be a purist. I'm not I'm just invested in good food. I don't need, it's not like an identity thing for me. So
I think some of the best food is like Tex-Mex, and that's like that's fusion right there. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think like you got to the problem with it, which is that like a lot of times it can rely simply on novelty.
Yeah.
And then not be good because you're not actually creating good food. You're just kind of throwing shit together.
Or it's just half-assed. Like it's like a hot dog with like some little Japanese bullshit on it, and it's just like, okay, this is a hot dog with Japanese bullshit on it. It's not anything interesting. It doesn't it doesn't do anything.
But yeah, I mean, as long as it's good, right? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
If you could eat haram food, what would you eat? I guess that's a question for Tom.
Yeah, I guess so. Honestly, I don't miss pork almost at all.
Yeah, I don't really either, actually.
Maybe a brat would be nice every now and again.
Yeah,
sometimes I get a hankering for like a beer just because of the taste, and like non-alcoholic beer doesn't really, they just don't do it quite right or something.
Yeah, that's true.
They make them too sweet. They end up kind of being like sodas, and then it's just like, well, if I'm gonna drink something like this, I'll just get an actual soda. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I don't really feel like there's a lot that I would just like rush back to. There's so many equivalent foods that you can get. Like for bacon, I feel like sujuk is a great substitute for that. And honestly, I don't really eat like a lot of sujuk, and I didn't really eat a lot of bacon before either. So yeah, I don't know.
I think, I mean, this question is not really geared at me, even though I hardly ever have pork at all anymore. I am not technically limited from it. So I think the only things that I would ever sometimes miss are the cured meats.
Yeah, that's true. I guess sometimes I do want a little bit of salami or something.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's like for cooking's sake, like using pancetta as part of your, your saute at the beginning with your aromatics, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like you said, it really isn't bad. Oh, I will say, here's one thing. I miss deglazing with wine. Sometimes.
I just thought of that. Yeah, that is something that I sort of miss too.
There are certain dishes that you can't recreate. Like, you can't just like sub like grape juice or something like that. Yeah. That you really do need wine in for the flavor that you're going for. And I do miss some of those, like a nice pan sauce, like with like butter, caper, and white wine or something like that. Oh, so good. And you can't sub any ingredients for that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we haven't really tried this grape juice substitute thing. I wonder, I'm sure it's not exactly the same, but I wonder if it's better than you'd expect, I don't know.
I don't think. Well, go ahead. But it's the thing with wine is that the sugars that make grape juice so intensely sweet are digested and turned into alcohol. So you have to, what are you going to get, like half sweet grape juice or something? Like, I don't know. And all of the flavors that make, that get developed in that process, it's not just the lack of sugar. It's also like an addition of all these other aromas. So I don't know. There's certain things that you can sub, like in certain dishes. You could probably sub certain things, like if you're doing like a low slow beef braise, you could probably sub like beef broth for red wine, and it wouldn't suffer too much. So it just depends on the dish that you're trying to make and what you're what about the wine are you trying to sub? So who knows?
I know there are opinions that you can use it if you kind of like substantially change the nature of it, so that like it's not alcoholic, it's not an intoxicant anymore.
Yeah,
but you also need to go and buy wine and
so then you're then you're like propping up the industry that creates the intoxicants. So is that really very good? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Like that in itself is haram. So just buying wine. So
I guess what you could do is get grapes that were executed in the right way or something.
Zabiha grapes.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right, how about one more? Are we cool with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite staple dish that you add into meals? I'm not exactly sure. I think that
dish that you add.
I think they mean like starch, like maybe they mean like a standard thing like pasta or rice or something, maybe.
Maybe the way I'm interpreting that is like pretending I didn't just like cook one pot meals all the time. Like if I made like what's your favorite chicken staple dish, or what's your favorite vegetable side dish or something like that. But I don't usually cook like that. So I will probably just say, this is a really crappy answer, but salad. Because I every
water. Yeah.
Oh, shut up, you jerk. God. No, I mean, I think that it's kind of okay. Growing up, I had salad with every dinner. That was just always true, and I don't think that's true for everyone. I think that that's something that my mom got from my dad's family. I think Italians do that more frequently than like Americans at large. But in this last week or two, I haven't been making as much salad, but most of the time I make salad for every dinner that we have. So no matter what else I'm making, I just add that into it. And my salads are usually just greens of some sort, like lettuces or a spring mix or something like that. Tomato, cucumber, radish, green onion, and sometimes some kind of crumbled cheese like feta, and sometimes seeds like sunflower seeds or whatever have you. And I usually make some kind of vinaigrette as my dressing. So that's like olive oil and some kind of acid. It doesn't have to be vinegar. It could be, there's a word for like citronette or something like that. Like if you use like lemon juice instead of vinegar, that's the word for that. And one thing that I've been doing for the past few months is, instead of using vinegar plus salt, I'll use some kind of brine instead, because that has like the tartness and the savoriness. So like I'll use like olive brine in my salad dressings. And just do it that way. But yeah, I usually add salad to every meal. So sorry if that's not what you meant, person who asked that. But yeah, I do put that in every meal.
I think a side that we always tend to go to, like if we're not really sure what to do, is we roast broccoli.
Yeah, that's true. We do that
that's
constantly.
Kind of a go-to.
Yeah, and that's really easy.
I do have a lot of like go-to meals that, because of like OCD stuff, where I can eat them all the time. And it's just simple stuff I can make. Like I'll make like pasta and then add butter and like cracked pepper and a bit of cheese, and that's like just, it is very, very simple stuff like that I can do. Or I make like sandwiches, like cheese sandwiches and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So
yeah, what is that dish called? Like cacio e pepe?
Cacio e pepe, yeah. But that's like the schmancy way of saying it and making it, because that's like a specific method that you're supposed to
whatever.
use.
That's what Donald's eating. Let him have it.
Yeah.
I need this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Did you guys have questions that you wanted to get to that weren't cooking questions?
Let's see if there's one in the Discord we could do real quick.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, this one is good. Should Donald be considered a clown? This is from Bippy.
I actually got kind of mad when he asked that. I don't think Donald is a clown. We were talking about like classic like French, like did you see that conversation, Donald?
No, I think I might have missed that.
Like clown schools in France where they teach you how to like classic like commedia dell'arte type stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think he was asking in that context.
I don't mind it. I don't know. It's better to be a clown than a lot of other things. I don't know.
I think if you spell it with 3 Ks, then you can say yes.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Denounce me. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again, Tabs. And
thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, guys. The Twitter is at YouCan'tWinPod. The Curious Cat is pinned to that account, and you can send us more questions. You can subscribe to our Patreon to get access to the Discord. You can chat with our community there, send us questions on there as well. and get access to our premium episodes. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.